for the names as well. Now some of the formatting that I need to do will come later on. So in terms of formulas and functions, what I'm first of all going to do is do the min function. So to do that, I'm first of all going to label min. And in this cell here, I'm going to place what is the lowest number that appears within the data that we've collected. So to do that, again, I click on the cell where I want the answer. I go up to the Formulas tab at the top, click on the arrow for auto sum, and do the function of min. Now you'll notice that what it's done is the spreadsheet has selected what it thinks it wants me to find the min of, but that's not what I want to find the min of. I want to find the min of all this data. So what I need to do is, you'll notice my cursor is a white cross. Place that white cross in the middle of the cell that you want to start the data selection. Click and drag. Once you've selected all that data, you need to press enter on your keyboard. And that has found the min. I'm then going to do exactly the same for max. Again, label the data, auto sum function, and do the max. Again, it thinks that I want to find the max of this, which I don't, so I go and select the data that I do want to find the max of, which is this data, and press enter. Next, I'm going to do the total of all scores, so the total of all scores. And to do this, what I'm going to do again, click where I want my answer, auto sum sum. Sum will add up all the numbers within a range. So select this range, press enter, and that's the sum of all the scores. And then going to do the average. So average, again, auto sum average. Again, it thinks I want to find the average of those, which I don't. I want to select this range of cells, and that's the average. Now, the next thing that I want to do, or one of the things that I'm going to do later, is to find how many times the average appears within this range of attempts. The problem with that is, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, right, how many times does this number appear in here? But you'll notice that this number does not appear in here at all, because this is a decimal. Now, even if I go to right click, format cells, go to number, and change this to 0 decimal places and press OK, that looks like the problem's solved, but it's not. Because even if I tried to find the value of this in here, it wouldn't work. Because this is still 32 point, etc, etc, etc. So what I need to do, I'm just going to take that off. That. What I'm going to do is I'm going to find I'm going to round that number up. So this is going to be average rounded. I'm just going to extend this column width by double clicking between the B and C, like that, so that it fits the average rounded text in there. What I'm going to do to find the rounded average is click where I want the answer. Click on the function button up here in the formula bar. And I want to find, or use, should I say, a function called round. Now you can see that it's already here in mine, but that's because I've used it before. It won't appear in yours, so what you need to do is select all from the categories. And you can either type round in here, like that, and it'll take you straight to it. Or, another way of doing it is just selecting all, clicking inside the list of functions and pressing the letter R on your keyboard. That takes us to the R's. If I type in RO, it takes us to the ROs, and I can scroll down to find round. Press OK, and you simply follow the instructions so that it's saying, right, what is the number you want to round up? And it's this one. Okay, and then what do you want to round it to? Well, I want to round it to 2 digits, 0 decimal places. Number of digits is how many digits do you want to appear after the decimal, and I don't want any. It's okay. And now what's in there is a whole number. So later on when I say, right, how many times does the average number appear in here, the cell that I'm actually going to search for is the cell C29. Right, the next thing I want to do is I want to find the mode. The mode is what number appears most in this range here. So again, I'm going to use another function. I'm going to call this mode. Click where I want my result, press the function button, and again, I'm just going to find the mode function, which is here. And all I simply do here is I select the range that I want to find the mode of, press OK. And so 34 is the most frequent number that appears within here. Okay, what I'm now going to do is I'm going to do some conditional formatting. In fact, no, before I do that, what I'm going to do is insert a cell, a row here, like that, and then I'm just going to do some sums. I'm going to find the total of all of these, etc. So, let's click here, auto sum, sum, and it cleverly has figured out that that's what I want to add up, so I can just press enter. Now what you could do is you could then go and do that again. So I could click here, click on auto sum, and go to sum, and just keep doing that. Click on here, go to auto sum, go to sum, and that'll work fine. However, the thing is, if I do the same when I want to add these up, so if I just label this as total score, like this. Now you'll notice that the total score formatting is not the same as these cells here. So to do that, I can click on a cell that I like, go to the Home tab, click on the Format Painter, and what that will do is it'll pick up all the formats of that cell. So the fact that it's coloured orange, it's got bold, text, font size 10, Arial, etc. And then I can click what I want to. I want to copy that formatting to this cell, and then that picks everything up. Okay, so that's quite a handy tool, the Format Painter. So what I was doing is I was saying that I want to now find the total of these. So I could click here, formulas, auto sum, sum. This is what I want to add up, press enter. Again, I could go auto sum, sum. This is what I want to add up, enter. And again, auto sum, sum. You'll notice though that it thinks I want to add these up, but I don't. So I'd say, right, I want to add those up, enter. And that would be quite a lengthy process if I've got to do all of these. So something you should have learned in previous lessons is the fact that you can use something called relative referencing. And if I just select this formula, and you can see the formula up here, look, is B2 to D2, which is the sum of this cell, and this cell. What I can do is use the fill handle, watch my cursor change from a white cross there to a black cross when I put it over the fill handle. Once I've got that black cross, I can drag this fill handle down, and using relative referencing, it will simply put the formulas in there. So you can see again, look, this says B2 to D2. Because I've used the fill handle, when I go down, this now says B3 to D3. And the next one will say B4 to D4. You'll see that the only thing that's changing in here is the row number, because I pulled the fill handle down. So that's really useful as well. I think what I'll do now is I'll format these. So again, I could do this, or I could use the Format Painter, but the thing is I don't want these to be bold. So I'm going to format them, center align them, do the same with these. Then what I think I'll do is select all of these and put a border around them. Yeah, with these as well, and with these as well. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Now, I'm going to use conditional formatting. Conditional formatting basically will format a cell dependent on a formula. Well, you can do it on lots of different things, but I'm going to do it on a formula to start with. So, what I want to do is I want to say, right, out of all of these here, I'll just center them, out of all of these values here, which ones of them are lower than the average rounded score? And which ones of them are higher than the average rounded score, and which of them are equal to the average rounded score? To do that, I first of all select all of the data, like this. I'm then going to go to the Home tab, and there should be conditional formatting here. Click on that, go to Manage Rules, and on Manage Rules I need to add a new rule. And this is where you need to start looking at what it is you actually want to do. So there's several things that I want to do, but the first one I'm going to do is what I said. I want to first of all find which of these cells are less than the average rounded. And if you're less than the average rounded, I'm going to turn you red. So I want to turn the cells red if they're less than this number. So to do that, I want to do this option, which is format only cells that contain a cell value that is less than. Now, I'm going to do this and it's not going to work, and I'm going to explain why. So what I actually want to do is very simple. I want to say, format all the cells if they're less than, click in here, this number. Oh no, it will work. Yeah, it will work. Format all the cells if they're less than this number. Yeah, this will work. Now, if I just leave it like that, there is no formatting added. If I click on the format button, I can say, right, on the fill tab, I basically want to turn all the cells red if the cell value of these cells is less than the value that appears in C30. So the value that appears in C30 is this one here. Okay, press OK, press OK, press apply, there you go. So all the cells in that range that are less than the value that appears in this cell here will turn red. Now what I want to do is add another new rule, and again I want to format only cells that contain cell value that is greater than this cell. Format them and turn them green. I'll use this green. Press OK, press OK, press apply. They're all the ones that exceed the average. And then I finally want to add one more rule that says format only cells that contain cell value equal to that cell. Format, turn them orange. OK, OK, apply. So that's a really nice way to use formatting to analyze your data. So that's okay. At a snapshot there, I can clearly see which pieces of data are falling less than the average rounded score, which ones are above it, and which ones are equal to it. And the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to use conditional formatting again, simply to highlight the highest and the lowest score. This is a really simple process. Again, I need to select the range. I go to conditional formatting, manage rules. I want a new rule, but this time what I want to do is I want to use this option that says format only top or bottom ranked values. So what I want to do is I want to format the top value that appears in these range of cells, but I only want the top one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, right, if you want the top score, I want you to turn yellow. Press OK. Press OK again. Now this is really important because if I press apply now, you'll see that the top score appeared 43. Now, if you think about it, there's two conditions that are contradicting each other here, because in theory this should be green, because here I said turn it green if it's greater than 32, which it is. But you'll notice it's turning it yellow. That's because these are all ranked. So this condition is ranked higher than this condition and this condition and this condition. If I move this down below this condition here and apply, you'll notice that it stays green, because the first condition it hits is this one, and then it ignores the rest. But what I want to do is I want to put this one at the top, so that the highest score is highlighted in yellow. I want another new rule now, and I'm going to do exactly the same again, but now I want the bottom value. I want the bottom one, I want to format it, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it to the fill colour of black, but I have a problem with that because my text is black, so I won't be able to see the number. So I'll go to font and turn the font colour to white. Press OK, press OK, press apply, and there you go. There's the lowest score, there's the highest score, all the green ones are above average, all the red ones are below average, and all the orange ones are spot on average. So I've used conditional formatting. Now, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to do some more complex functions. I'm just going to turn these bold. And one of the complex functions that I want to use will basically count for me how many are over average. So I know I've got a snapshot of which ones are above, which ones are below, which ones are bang on the average, but I now want to actually know how many are actually over average. So for example, how many are green or yellow? Now I'm not going to use the colours to find that out, but what I am going to do is I'm going to use a function called countif. So I'm going to click where I want my answer to appear, click on the function button, search for the function called countif, which is here. And I'm going to explain this. I'm going to explain this now, and it won't work. But then I'm going to explain how to make it work. Because if I explain how it should work, you'll hopefully understand it a bit better. So what I basically want to do is I want to say, right, count in numbers, count up in numbers. If this range of cells contain this something that is more than, so here look, something that is more than this number. So again, what I want to say is look in this range of cells, and if there is a number that is higher than this number inside this range of cells, then count them. Alright, so here look, that's my range, and I want to say, right, if you're more than what is appearing in C30, which is here, then count them. But you'll notice that it's 0. It's not counting any. If I press OK, look, it's 0. Well, I know that's wrong, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. There's quite a lot. And here's what you need to do. When I do this function of countif, again, I want this range, but what I need to do is I need to put in quotes the more than symbol, and then I need to use the ampersand, and then I need to say the average rounded. And basically what that's doing is it's saying, right, well, this is an operator. This is me saying more than something. And you can put that in quotes because that's a mathematical operator here. But then what I need to do is I need to connect it to the value that sits in this average rounded. To connect that operator to a formula that sits inside a cell, I need to use the ampersand, and then I refer to the cell reference where that formula sits. So that formula sits inside C30. So basically I'm doing exactly what I want to do, but I've got to write some weird stuff in the criteria. I'm saying count in this range of cells here if there is a number that is above the number 32 that sits inside here. And you can see, look, that there are 40. Press OK, the answer is 40. If you want to check that, you can. If you want to pause the video and just count all the green ones and the yellow one, you'll realise that there are 40. Now I'm going to do exactly the same again. Well, almost exactly the same again. But this time, I want to count how many are under the average. Just drag that down. Change it to how many are under the average. And then I'll add another one here for what I'm going to do after that. That is going to be how many got the average. So here, I'm going to do another countif. I'll now go to recents. Countif, criteria, range is the same. Criteria is quotes less than. The less than and more than symbols, by the way, are on the bottom row of keys where there's the Z, X, C, V, B, N, M. The key next to M should be the less than, and the one next to that should be the more than. You might have to press Shift to get them. So, and then the ampersand, and then this cell, and press OK. You can see that there are 23. Again, if you want to pause the video and count them, it should also count this number 4 here. So you want to be counting all the red ones and the black one. And then the last thing I want to do is if they actually did, I mean, I can see quite clearly that there are 3. 3 people actually got the average. Yep. So let's just see whether this works. So countif, this range has the criteria of equal to, and notice I need to use equals now because I want to say if it's equal to that value. Not greater than, not less than, but equal to. And you can see there are 3. So we know that works. So we've used a very complex function there called countif with some strange criteria, but it works nicely. We're going to center all these. Now what? Well, now what I'm going to do is I want to be able to sort the data. Now sorting is really easy because at the minute, like, you can see all of these are in no particular order. I think they're actually ordered by first name here, H, G. Oh no, they're not. In fact, they're not even sorted at all. So what I'm going to do is select all of this data, and then what I can do is I can go to data, and I can sort, and I can sort by total score. Then I can say I want the largest to the smallest value. Press OK. You can see now I've got the highest score at the top here, all the way down to the lowest. Now notice when I did that, I have to select the labels at the top as well, here. Yep, and then do the sort. Don't do that. You need the labels in order to sort it. So again, I could go and sort, but this time what I could do is I could sort it by name, and now they're in order, or descending order, by their name. So W, V, R, A, N, etc. all the way to A. Now that's pretty cool, but it would be better if I just had a button that I could click on to do the different sorting. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do that. Okay, so this is how I do this. I'm going to create something called a macro. A macro is something we can use to record a series of steps, and then we can assign that one recording of those steps to an action. So for example, I can have a button that when I click on it, it just sorts them. And here's how you do it. First of all, you need this developer tab up here. Yep. And if you haven't got the developer tab up here, then you need to go to, I think, Start Menu, Excel Options. And I think if you go to the Advanced tab and scroll down, I might be wrong, you might have to bear with me here. Let me see. Do you know what? It's probably something that's even easier than that. Here we are, it's on the Popular tab, Show Developer tab in the ribbon. So if that's unticked, you won't see this Developer tab. What you need to do is tick it, press OK, and then you should have the Developer tab up here. So once I've got that, I'm going to go and record a new macro. Give your macro a name. So I'm going to call this macro sorting. Sort by total score. Notice that I'm using an underscore instead of a space, because macros, you can't have spaces. You also, I don't think, can have macros that start with numbers, so I couldn't do that. So no spaces, no numbers to start. Press OK. Now watch, as soon as I press OK, down here on your screen will be a stop button, because as soon as I press OK, it's actually recording everything I do. Alright, so press OK. Here's the stop button. Now the macro is recording everything I do. So I did before, I go to the Data tab. So every time I'm doing something, it's recording a step. So it's recorded me selecting this data, it's recorded me clicking on data. Now I'm going to go to sort, it's recorded me doing that. I'm going to sort by total score, it's recorded me doing that. And I'm going to click on largest to smallest, and it's recorded me doing that. Press OK. Now that's sorted, and it does exactly what I want the macro to do. So I'm going to press stop. Now then, somewhere I now have a recording of exactly what I've just done. To access the recording of what you've just done, you go to the Developer tab, Macros. You can see here, look, this is my recording. So if I just do this, I'm just going to sort it to a different order, like that. And now if I go to Developer, Macros, click on this and run it, see it automatically sorts the data. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert a shape like this. I'm going to add some text onto this that says sort by total score. I'm going to right click on this button and assign a macro. I'm going to assign this macro. So now whenever I press this button, it will sort this data. Alright, so I'll just prove to you not, I just sort it differently. If I now press sort by total, it does exactly that, it sorts by total for me. Yep. I'm just going to record another one now to sort by name. So again, exactly the same process. Developer, record macro, give it a name, sort by name. It's now recording because the stop button is here. So I select my data, just recorded that. Go to data, sort by name. I'll have A to Z. Press OK. I'm just going to click off of here because it also records that as well. Then press stop. Now I'm going to insert another button, so another shape, square. This is sort by name, so edit the text, sort by name. Right click on that button, assign a macro, sort by name. So now when I press this button, it sorts by score, and when I press this button, it sorts by name. Pretty cool. Now the very last thing I want to do to analyze this spreadsheet is I want to create a graph. And I want to create a graph that shows total combined scores for each attempt. So these in a bar graph. Yep, you can quite clearly see that this is the lowest, this is the highest, but I want a graph to see it because it's sometimes better to present information or to present data through the use of a graph. So to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert a column graph, but before I do that I'm going to select the data that I want to actually create that graph of. So I'm going to select the titles, because if you think about it, you always need a Y label and an X label for a graph. You always need two pieces of data to plot. What I want to do is I want to plot score attempt labels against the score attempt values. So select these, and if you're using a PC, you keep hold of the control button on your keyboard and you select these as well. Now I'm using a Mac, so I use the Alt button. Okay? Now this might not work, I've just thought, but we'll see. So I want to insert a column graph like this. Oh, it has, it's worked up. And I've obviously got my two pieces of data, this one and this one. And you can see this created a nice graph for me. But I say this is a nice graph, it's not a very good graph. Why? Well, it hasn't got a title, it hasn't got an x-axis label, a y-axis label, it's got this weird thing here called a legend that I don't want, and it doesn't look too good. So, once I've got my graph and I click on it, I can go up to the top here, and I can choose this one, which gives, oh no, I don't like that. I'll choose this one, which gives me a title, x-axis, y-axis, x-axis, and then I want to get rid of this legend. So if I right click on it and delete it, I don't need that. I then give this graph a title, because obviously a graph title should explain what it is showing. So I can say this graph shows total combined scores for each of the three attempts. Okay, make it a bit bigger. That's good. Then my y-axis here should be total score, and my x-axis here should be set. Now what else can I do to this? Right, well I can click on these individual columns. If I click once, it selects the whole graph. If I click once more on each column, it selects just that column, and I can change its colour. So if I go to format, see, right, I want this one green, or this light green, click on this one. I want this one a bit darker, click on this one a bit darker than that one. Okay, and I can change the fonts, so I can click on here and change the fill of the font. Again, I can change the title colour, so all of that. I have a nice dark green up there as a title. So now I've created some excellent analysis on this spreadsheet. I've got some macros that sorts my data for me. I've got some conditional formatting to use colour to easily analyse the data. I've got some excellent functions that I've used, such as countif and round and mode. and I've got a graph that it shows the information in a much clearer way. So fantastic analysis. What you need to do now is follow those steps and analyze your data. Okay.